Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here this morning. I know that all of you guys are very, very passionate owners, very passionate business owners, and this is something that quite literally can change the amount of people that's going to be coming in your doors, maybe not this year in 2015, but definitely in 2016. And there's some really simple ways to fix the problem that has been created just by technology evolving and that type of thing. So I just want to make sure, can everybody hear me? Just type in the chat box. I want to make sure everybody can hear me. Everyone's online this morning, ready to go. Awesome, awesome. Yes, yes, perfect, great. I just want to get a show of hands before we get started. How many people, there's a show of hands button on the top left corner here. Push it if you have a website already. And I assume that everybody here already has websites. Yes, there we go. Show of hands. Yeah, everybody has a website. It's 2015. There's, you know, if you don't have a website by this point, you're probably not in on this webinar right now. So I wanted to, you know, quickly go through today. This is not going to be long. It's going to be 20, 25 minutes. I'm going to allow lots of time at the end for Q&A so that you can ask specific to you how to change, how to evolve your website. So that not only is it good for Google, but it's good for the users and the people that are looking for you. So if you don't know me, I'm Scott Oldford. I run Infinitus Marketing Plus Technology. We help fulfill the vision of companies, organizations, much like yours, using marketing, strategy, and technology. What that means is it could be anything from building a website. It could be anything from building an online marketing campaign. Regardless of location, we bring experts to the table to be able to achieve that. So the problem, I don't want you, and I'm so glad that you're on this webinar because I don't want you to be this guy. I don't want you to, you know, see a couple emails about Google changing the way that they're doing things. I don't want you to be sticking your head in the sand and hoping that, you know, it just sort of kind of goes away. I want you to be able to attack this problem. I want you to be able to give the best experience to the people that are looking to book with you, that are looking to have experiences with you. So what is the problem? Well, back, you know, a few years ago, we got to the point, I believe somebody has their microphone on there. I'm not sure. I just want to make sure that everyone's microphone's off.
Make sure you press *6 on your phone so that we can't hear you. Thanks, Scott.
No problem. So, you know, the problem is started, you know, in 2007, 2008, people start getting mobile phones. By 2010, 2011, this whole mobile movement started. So we had 10, 15% of people, you know, visiting. And then we're now in 2015, almost everybody has a mobile device. Everybody that's traveling has a mobile device. And right, you know, I was just in New York a little while ago, and I was looking for a food place exactly where I was. I opened up my phone. I put on Google. Actually, I didn't even put on Google. I just asked my phone, hey, I want to have a steakhouse. And then Siri came up and said, hey, here are the 15 closest steakhouses. I picked the one that had the highest rating right there on my phone. I went there. I spent my $100+, and that was it. More and more people are doing that. Now, Google sees this, and their entire business model is ensuring that people get what they're looking for. Their entire billion-dollar business is based on the fact that when somebody searches for something, that they're going to get exactly what they want in the best possible way. So what Google has seen is when somebody goes to a website that is not mobile friendly, and we'll review what mobile friendly means in a second, when somebody goes to a website that isn't mobile friendly, the problem becomes this. I'm just going to show you some stats here. The bounce rate, meaning how many people actually don't go past the home page, increases from an average of 35% to 65%. The amount of time that they spend on your website, if you're on a mobile phone and you don't have a mobile website, is 50% less. Now this is the biggest one, and this is the scariest one. The conversion rate, which means the amount of people that contact you, the amount of people that book online, the amount of people that subscribe to your email list, goes down by 80%, meaning that if 4 out of 5 people are not going to convert to being potential customers or customers. So Google's looking at this. They're looking at this last year, and they're like, you know what? We need to make a change. We need to encourage people to go ahead and become mobile friendly, because we're losing people when they go onto the website. They go on to Google, they search for something, they go onto a website, they bounce right off, or they don't spend enough time. There's no conversions, and we have 50% of people visiting websites on a mobile device. Now, these numbers, these aren't like international numbers. These are of the numbers of the 200 websites that we host in Atlantic Canada. So these numbers are very similar to what you would be having yourself. All right. So when it comes to, you know, the downfalls, think about this for a minute. You, as a hospitality owner, you spend all the time crafting the experience, making sure that everything is right, making sure that when someone comes, they have an amazing experience. Not because that's just the way that you are, but that's because that is hospitality. That is Newfoundland and Labrador hospitality. Now, if you're, you know, regardless of Google, let's just forget about Google for a minute. Let's think about just the user experience of someone making a booking. Let's think about the branding of who you are. If, you know, everything looks great on a desktop computer, that's great, but if half of everybody that's going to your website is on a mobile phone and they have to, you know, pinch and zoom and do all these things that they really don't want to do, then, you know, what's really the point of half of those people not having that great experience, not having that understanding of the great brand, of all of these different types of things that that person emotionally is going through when they're making their buying decision and they're planning their trip to Newfoundland and Labrador, and they look at your website on their phone or on their tablet while they're in front of the TV at 8 o'clock at night, and if your website's not mobile friendly, their chance of going off of it increases, you know, by double. All right, so the benefits are obvious. Not only will you have Google on your side, not only will you have this amazing online brand that transfers across all platforms, but you're also future-proofing yourself. And I realize, you know, you can't future-proof yourself to 10 years into the future, but you can certainly future-proof yourself into 5 years into the future. And that's what you want to be doing. You want to be looking at 2020 and what, you know, behavior, customer behavior is going to be like in 2020. So, you know, there's obviously, and I realize a huge part of this is Google, but the other huge part is making sure that you're putting your best foot forward so that when somebody's online, they have the best experience on every single device. Now, I just want to quickly back up for a quick second before we go forward. And what's going to happen, and it's already started to happen, I've already seen it, when in the next few months, and it's probably already started if you don't have a mobile website, your listing will slowly disintegrate from being the first page to being lower than any of your competitors or anybody. I realize that, you know, competitor is probably the wrong word because we're all a pretty friendly bunch here, but your ability to be on that front page is going to get crippled when someone goes and says, I don't know, Twillingate accommodations, or when someone says St. John's Hotels, or, you know, St. John's Experiences. If your website's not, you know, if you're on that front page right now and you're actively using a search engine strategy, if you don't have a mobile website, you're literally going to take all that time, all that money, and you're going to wash it down the drain simply because you don't have that mobile website. So the benefit here is simply the fact that you are not only future-proofing yourself, you're not only giving your user the best experience possible, you're going to keep that listing on Google, if not go up in the rank. I've had a client go from number 3 to number 1 in the last 2 weeks simply because her competitors did not have a mobile website, and she now has the unfair advantage on Google. Okay, so I just want to make sure everyone getting this so far, does it all make sense? I'm just going to take a sip of water, and we'll get right back into it here. All right, so let's look at just kind of a few different websites so I can walk you through. This website here, this is a website not done by us. This is just a website I pulled, you know, just from out doing a quick Google search. It was a great website 5 years ago. This was great design, everything else. But right now, if you go to this website, it doesn't have a mobile version. It just, honestly, it really just doesn't look good anymore. And so when I talk about future-proofing, this website was never future-proofed in 2010. So when you're looking at your website today, whether you just got it redesigned or whether you're going through a redesign or you're looking to invest in it into the future, you want to ensure that it's future-proof, and we'll talk about what that means in a minute. Now, this website here, this is very, very future-proof. It's a lot more experiential. It has a full mobile experience, meaning this is the desktop version, but when you go to a phone, it looks like this. It converts the information into a perfect replication of what's on the desktop version. Now, here's a very, very important point before I move on. Your mobile website should provide every bit of information that your desktop version provides. Why? Because people use their mobile device the same as their desktop device. Back in 2011, back in 2012, even 2013, we were developing websites that had 40% of the most used content on the mobile version. That's wrong because people use their mobile device, their little 3.5, 5.5-inch screens, the same way as their desktop version. And that is so critically important because you want to give that full version. You never, ever, ever, ever want them to click on see full version on their phone because there's simply no reason. It's just going to give them that bad user experience again. So what is the big deal with all of this? Well, from a user experience perspective, take a look at the left screen for a second. The left screen, if you load that up if you load that up on the left on your phone, do you really think you're going to give someone a good, where are they going to go? What are they going to click on? They're going to have to, use 2 of their fingers. They're going to have to double tap. They're going to have to go through it. They have no idea where to go. They're going to bounce off of this website. They're never going to come back again unless it's really, really, really important to them, unless they're going to pay their taxes on CRA and CRA doesn't have a mobile website. Now, look on the right side. If you go to a website that's mobile friendly and it looks like this, the information, it's all the same information, but it's designed in a way that has the ability to be very easily consumed by somebody that's just browsing on their phone during a lunch break. Maybe they're on the couch. Think about this. On the average North American, we change devices in the evening from 5 o'clock to 11 o'clock 17 times. That means we go to our TV, our tablet, our laptop, our home computer, our mobile phone. We change our devices 17 times on average every single evening. Just keeping that in mind for the consumers that come all over the place to you, that they're going to be looking on a series of different applications. All right, so I'm thinking that, I've showed you the problem. You're probably thinking, oh, wow, this is going to take a lot, whether it be investment, whether it be time. I realize you're going into the busy season right now. You don't need to be worrying about this stuff, or you don't want to be worrying about this stuff. And you're probably a little bit like the dog on the computer. I realize, and I help people like this every single day. It's why I have a job, and I'm able to help people because this stuff, although it's not complicated, it does take a little bit of time. It does take a little bit of understanding, but it is so critically important. If you can't tackle this year because you don't have time or you don't have the budget, that is fine. The problem is going to be that your Google ranking is going to be low by the time that the fall comes around. So my suggestion is to get this started, even if it's a little bit of a slow process. We're going to talk about different solutions here. And if you can get to that point, that's great. If not, you want to make sure that by 2016, when someone's starting the book for 2016, it may even be this fall that they're booking for 2016, you want to make sure you have this user experience because this will be the normal in 6 months. Right now, about 42% of all websites online have a mobile website. By the end of this year, that will be well over 60% because Google has said, listen, we are going to dictate the future of the internet, and we want to make the best user experience because guess what? We need to feed our billion-dollar advertising business, and majority of that revenue is coming via mobile. I don't want this to be you. I don't want you to be sitting down at the end of the next year, because this won't have an instant impact in my mind to you guys this year, but I don't want you to be sitting at the end of next year saying like, wow, we really missed the boat from a search engine perspective. You know, all these people were here on the island spending their money, and we weren't on the top simply because we didn't put a mobile website in place, because we didn't move and future-proof ourselves. I really, really, really don't want this to be you, because it's so easy to avoid, and this is how we're going to do it. There's 3 ways that you can, you know, be mobile ready. The first one is a third-party converting service. I'm going to put the links after this presentation that are there. This is the cheapest, most effective way that you can pretty much convert your website to a mobile version in less than a week by yourself without the need of anyone such as myself. Now, when I say that, this is a third-party converting service that essentially uses a series of templates for your mobile website. It doesn't tie into your content management system. It doesn't tie into your brand or your whatever it would be. But what it does do is it is a temporarily fix for the Google problem. What does it look like? It looks like a little bit like this. So this is a client of mine, and you know, she saw this coming. I let her know early on in the year that, hey, listen, here's the solution. It's a cheap fix. It's not a perfect fix, and you know, it doesn't look the best, but it does its job. She's not going to lose her #1 ranking for when you go and type in, you know, Gander massage or you know, Gander hairstyling or whatever it may be, because she has that mobile version. Now, I'm going to give you the link. It's quite cheap. It's like $10, $12 a month. Very, very, very cheap. Again, it does have its cons, and we can talk about that in the Q&A. The second is a custom-developed mobile website. So this is, you know, this is essentially, we develop a mobile website. You're going to need to go to your web developer. You're going to need to go to your web company to be able to create this. What does this do? This is Jerry's Car Sales in Gander. We did this for him. If you go to jerryscarsales.com, you see the home, you know, the desktop website. And this part of the website was developed specifically for mobile. This is not a responsive website, and I'll talk about that in a second. This is a mobile, you know, completely developed version that ties into their content management system, allows them to use all, you know, these guys were getting 60% mobile traffic without a desktop website. These guys invested in this late last year, and they've had amazing results using it. And they were the first in their area to have a mobile website, and their traffic went up, their retention went up. It was absolutely amazing to see those results. Now, so this sort of thing, this is typically going to cost you between, you know, depending on who you work with, it could be anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 of an investment for this mobile website. So it is a little bit of a more expensive option, and really I only want to see this used, again, where you're looking at, where it's a little bit of a Band-Aid for a full redesign, which is a responsive website design. Now, what is a responsive? Responsive allows you to have the perfect website, the perfect experience on every single device, whether it be a tablet, whether it be a, you know, a 72-inch projector screen, whether it be a mobile phone or your home iMac. And so this, you know, every website that is developed now, regardless who you work with, it should be responsive. Everything past 2013 should be responsive. Why? Google will give the highest ranking to whoever is responsive because it knows its user experience is the best. That's #1. 2, your entire brand experience can be transferred to any type of device, and responsive web design is how you future-proof, because until we get to a point where we're wearing glasses and we're wearing augmented reality and virtual reality, this is what will be used. So the cost of this is your normal website. Again, this can cost anywhere from, depending on who you use, we see on the lower end, you know, $4,000 to $5,000. On the higher end, the websites that we develop, typically, you know, $20,000, $30,000. And so there's a wide range of functionality and features and everything else in there. But regardless of who you work with right now, you need to ensure that the next website you develop, if that's not today, if it's next year, you need to make sure that it's responsive. Now, what I mean by now or never, you need to get started on this today, largely because you are already losing your Google rank. Not only are you losing your Google rank, but you're going to start losing customers because everybody is doing this. And if you're not looking at this very seriously, not only is it going to decrease your Google ranking and decrease the amount of people that are visiting you, it's going to decrease the amount of conversions that are on your website. And guess what? Conversions are what you're after. You're after online bookings, online booking requests, all of these different types of things. And if you do not do that right now, you are going to be left behind quicker than any technological, improvement or evolution that has ever happened. This, in my mind, is more important than having a website itself. If there's anything that you invest in money this year, it is this thing, or next year, this needs to be on your radar because it is so critically important for your business. With that said, I'm going to post the link in the chat here. I'm more than happy. I'm going to, offer, about 20, 15-minute quick hit sessions. You can use my calendar here to be able to book that, and we can go through your website. I can kind of, again, no bias. I'm not going to sell you a thing. I'm not here to do that, but I can give you kind of the best direction for yourself, answer any questions that you have completely free. There's no cost whatsoever. I've been a hospitality member for 6 or 7 years. I know you guys. I know that this is something that you need, and I'm very passionate to make sure that you guys get it. So I'm more than happy to do that. I'll post the link in the chat afterwards. And with that said, let's go to question and answer. I think we have about 33 minutes or so, and I'm more than happy to answer any of your guys' questions.
Thanks, Scott. That was a pretty awesome presentation. A lot of information in there, so hopefully we'll get a few questions. I see Julie has typed in the chat window. She's curious if you will slip in the Google rankings on the desktop version of Google as well as the mobile.
Yes, Julie, that is correct. You're going to slip on both of those platforms. They have looked at it as the fact that not only is it impacting your your overall website and brand, but they're essentially de-ranking both versions. I saw this last week. Wasn't a client, but rather somebody that contacted me in a little bit of a panic. They went from number 2 to number 9 on their page on both desktop and mobile in the St. John's area, and they got delisted pretty quickly. Thankfully we were able to get a mobile site put together real quickly for them. They're still at number 9, still probably going to take a month for them to get back up in those rankings, but this is very evident, and it's especially important when you're looking at this. So if someone's searching, Julie, Maximum Vacation, your ranking for Maximum Vacations probably isn't going to go down unless somebody else has the same name. However, if someone's saying vacations to Newfoundland and Labrador, and you're on that top page, that is where you're going to lose your ranking, regardless if they're on desktop or mobile. Hopefully that answers that question.
If anybody else has a question, you can press #6 to unmute your phone line, or simply type it in the chat window. We've got lots of time for questions here, so feel free.
Completely. And I'm just going to post in my, if you want to make appointment there, that's my full online calendar. Again, 15-minute session, more than happy to take any time afterwards. Obviously, we got about 30 minutes here. I didn't want to overload. I realize I've overloaded you with information in the presentation. If you have any questions that's specific to you, we have plenty of time to be able to go through that, and then people can eavesdrop off that information to be able to use it for themselves. Some platforms like Ning auto-create a mobile version. Are these dependable, or is an investment needed to improve? So my best inclination for you is, I'm just going to quickly put it in here, go to your website. I'm just going to push this right in here for you. Go to that website. It's a Google test, mobile-friendly test. Put your website in there. If it says that it is mobile-friendly, it is indeed mobile-friendly, assuming it'll kind of give you a score. If it's not mobile-friendly, then you certainly need to take a look at that. There's different versions of what I'll say mobile websites. The cheaper version that I showed you, the quick fix, that's going to be a quick fix for probably 6 months because Google is looking for, in the next couple of years, they're looking for the responsive website. So if Ning creates a mobile website and not a responsive website, then that's certainly a problem. Another opportunity, if you want to create the website yourself, you don't want someone else to create it for you, Squarespace automatically creates that desktop and mobile, that responsive website for you. So that is definitely another possibility. And again, it's fairly cheap, fairly accessible. If you want to be, taking your 50, 60 hours and putting it in, not yourself, that is certainly an opportunity to be able to use something like Squarespace.
Okay, it looks like we've got some people typing there, but Tanya here in the boardroom, she had a question, so she's going to go ahead.
Sure.
Hey, so I have a question. I just thought everybody would be interested in knowing this as well. So just say that everyone here got mobile-friendly websites.
Yep.
What then, what kind of differentiates everybody? Like, who comes out on top after that? If everybody has the mobile-friendly websites, then how is it decided on ranking?
Yeah, no, for sure. So that goes to the search engine strategy piece, right? And the search engine strategy has really changed in the last few years. Everybody, 7, 8 years ago, it was all about the backlinks and who, what your website was connected to. In many ways, that's a little bit of the same, and I'll explain that in a second. The other side that you really need to be looking at is Google's looking for social signals, meaning your Facebook, your Twitter, these different social media accounts. And they're going to rank you based on those factors along with how your website content is crafted, what keywords you're specifically putting in the content. Now, let me describe this to you. It's not the meta description and the title anymore. That's like 2% of your website are those little things. What they're looking for, Google has gotten super advanced, and its artificial intelligence is able to see if you're an authority in the marketplace, in your local marketplace, for whatever you're talking about. So let's say your business is, scuba diving and experiences and that type of thing. It's going to look for blog articles talking about, this shipwreck. It's going to look for blog articles and social media, and it's going to look to make sure that you're connected to the NewfoundlandLabrador.com site, that is connected to the HNL.ca site, because those are websites that Google has designated as, a lot of people visit here, a lot of people click on links here, and hey, Bob's Bob's scuba diving B&B, they're listed on there, and they have all these great blog articles, all this great content. You know what? We're going to put them on the top page of Google because we think that when someone searches for that, they're probably going to find what they're looking for. So, search engine optimization has come down mostly to content and how you're active on social media, and then ensuring that you're linked to the proper, high-level websites that make sense for you to be on outside of HNL, outside of NewfoundlandLabrador.com. So, that's, if everybody was on the same playing ground on a mobile side, then it comes into, who has the best content and who's informing the potential customer the best, because that's the person who's going to get to the top of Google. Okay, Scott. Oh, I think we got a call coming in there or something there. So I had a question here from Scott. I recently had a website created. A developer used software called Joomla. Does it matter what type of software is used to create a mobile-friendly website? No, it is not. The quickest and easiest way, Scott, to check to see if that website is mobile-friendly is to go and do that Google search test, or just open it up on your phone. You'll very quickly know if you need to pinch and zoom, or if it's a created experience. In my experience, Joomla is a fine system. It's a little bit more clunky than some of the latest systems and that type of thing. But when it comes down to the full mobile experience, you can really use any platform assuming that that mobile website comes up when someone searches, and as long as Google signifies and when you type that into Google, into the mobile search, that it comes back and says, hey, listen, this is a mobile website. Because there's some ways that, some developers and some companies that I've seen, and I've actually seen somebody in hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador on a Facebook group, and I saw them talking about the fact that they have a mobile website, but it's not recognized by Google because essentially the whoever developed it kind of hacked it to look like a mobile website. Problem with that is the fact that Google's still going to ding them because it's not a proper mobile website.
Hi, Scott. This is Jesse at H&L. This is actually for the other Scott who just asked that question. I quickly Googled his company name, and it does come up first thing, and it was a very good-looking mobile website. So
Perfect.
You're good.
Awesome. That's great to hear. I love that. Any other? I see Scott's writing back there. Awesome. Cool. Anybody else have any questions there?
Hey, Scott, it's Melissa at H&L. I was just reading through some stuff this morning, and I know we talked about responsive website design and that being really the best option for going forward in terms of, thinking about the future and whatnot. So does Google rank, if you have a responsive website, does that put you higher than someone with a different mobile-friendly option, or is it all assessed kind of the same?
No, it is definitely, it is bringing responsive higher. Through Google hasn't explicitly come out and said that. However, if you look at the tests between responsive sites and just, kind of the lower kind of fixes, temporary fixes, responsive sites are getting a higher ranking because Google understands and realizes, of course, that it is, wanting to create an experience, the perfect experience on all devices, and that's going to become more and more, prominent and important into the future. So my suggestion is, hey, listen, if you don't have a mobile website today, go and use one of these converters that are online. They're cheap, they're easy, they're going to tie you over for 6 months. If you're going to go, don't go in, the option of just having a mobile website is probably not the best one because it's going to be obsolete in a couple of years. So the best thing to do is go and get a new responsive website developed. But you do want to kind of, in the meantime, have that mobile website because it's typically going to take 3 to 6, even more time to develop your website, especially since you're busy, and you don't want to lose that Google ranking in between.
Great, thanks. I see we have a question in the chat.
Yeah, how can we check? How we can check the Google ranking? That is a link right there. You just type in your URL, and it'll let you know, and it'll actually give you even a screenshot of what it looks like, so that you can, of course, utilize that to see, what it looks like for other users, and then be able to sort of, change that from there. Now, if you have a website that is mobile friendly on your phone, you type it into Google, and it's not mobile friendly, then you probably need to contact whoever developed the website and just kind of send that over to them and say, hey, listen, is there a way that we can fix this easily and quickly without incurring any costs and that type of thing, especially if, a mobile website was sort of, put together and put forward for that website and so on.
Hi, Scott. Sorry to jump in again. It's Jesse again at H&L. John wanted to let you know I quickly Googled you on my smartphone, and you have a lovely mobile website.
Love it. I love it.
Oh, sure.
Well,
in the chat window there, Scott, I believe that's Mr. Craig Foley out on the West Coast.
Oh, hey, Craig. Scott, talk about your thoughts on creating apps. You know what? My thoughts on creating apps is that day has probably passed for apps. There's so many apps in the App Store, and people are overloaded with information. Back in 2010, apps were cool. It was, oh, wow, that's awesome. Now, am I saying that it doesn't make sense for Newfoundland and Labrador tourism to have an app? Yes, it totally makes sense for them to have an app. Does it make sense for you to have an application for your own individual business Well, you would have to have a very complex business in my books to be able to use an application. If you were going to get super advanced, and I honestly don't know, who would do this or why you would do this, but let's say that, you wanted to offer, so that you could use your phone to check into your, accommodations, or let's say, it would allow you to see the schedule for the day, or, any of these different types of things. I don't think apps are feasible in 2015 because there's going to be less and less and less and less applications as time goes on. The App Store already has so many applications. People don't want to download things. They want to see things right away. So applications make sense when you're trying to take a lot of information and distill it down for a lot, a variety of different businesses, or, in your case, it may make sense to have an application for Central Newfoundland and Western Newfoundland, these different types of things, but for individual businesses, it really isn't, something that makes sense for an investment. All right, so I see Janet, I just saw that there. I have a mobile website that I just launched, but I'm not showing up in the Google search before other sites that are not mobile. Why would that be? So Janet, it's going to take a little bit of time for this to happen. It's also dependent upon your search engine strategy. There's a lot of things that are, put into place here, and if you don't have a great mobile, search engine strategy, then it's quite possible if somebody else has a really good search engine strategy. They have a great, social media. They have great content. They have great blog articles. All of these different types of things. It's still possible for them to stay on that front page because Google's like, you know what? Regardless of everything else, these guys, they develop amazing content and they provide free information to anybody that's looking. And hey, we're Google. We want to show the best information. And so it may take a little bit of time for them to slowly downgrade into the rankings. And keep in mind, on April 21st when this happened, it wasn't like Google flicked the switch. This is going to be a gradual downgrade because Google's testing it themselves. They don't want to, completely change their, ranking mechanism on day one. So, you're going to see over the next 6 months, if these guys have a good SEO strategy, they may stay on that front page. If they don't, you're going to slowly see it downgrade and degrade, to having yours on the top. And again, it goes back to you having your own search engine strategy, which of course is its own entire webinar of itself at the end of the day. What are the other search engines other than Google that we should be concerned about via our website ranking? Well, you know what? Google, for the most part, there's really three overall. There's Google, which takes up 90+% of the searches that are done online. There's Yahoo, which honestly is pretty much, less than 1% at this point. And then Microsoft Bing, which again is okay. Doesn't, I honestly, I don't worry about anything but Google because it is such a large marketplace. It is such a large system that if you just focus on one, your chances of succeeding with it is a heck of a lot better, simply due to the fact that if you're focused on 3, 4, 5 search engines, you're just going to be kind of trying to do one thing for one thing for the other. I always just try to focus on one, own it, make it as good as I can, and then move on from there and just, keep that ranking up there. So, definitely Google. I know we're talking about Google, but how are the other search engines dealing with the need to be mobile? So when I a little bit, kind of went into that. The Google's done this. I would assume that the rest are going to follow suit. Typically, everybody waits for Google for 6 to 9 months to make sure that what they're doing it makes sense and it is understood by the marketplace. And then you're probably going to see other search engines kind of flick this on. Again, I'm never too concerned about those other search engines. But if you are, you're going to see pretty much everyone sort of go from this. Is there a link that shows the ranking of our mobile website? So in terms of a pure ranking, no. Obviously, you can see this here. If you just do a quick Google search yourself on Google of different key terms, not just yourself, meaning if it's John's B&B, then, no, you're going to get number one for that anyways. But if it's, B&Bs in St. John's, then you're going to be able to see the ranking. Now, here's a quick tip for you. When you go to search for yourself, there's a little button on the top right of Google that's going to show there's two options. There's one to exclude your personal profile and one to include your personal profile. And this one always creates problems because Google now personalizes what you see based on your activity online. So it tracks your activity on Google+, on Facebook, on all these different types of websites, the other websites that you visited, and it's going to give you a top 10 based on you. Now, if somebody's never searched for anything in Newfoundland and Labrador, they're going to see what's in the excluded version. And that is the version that you want to be looking at all times when you're looking at your search engine ranking, because that's what most people are going to actually see. Any other questions there? No problem, John.
Yeah, that's a lot of good questions. Actually, we're getting a lot of good feedback here and a lot of great discussion on the go. In terms of John's question, I think the best thing for you to do, John, is take out a smartphone and do a Google search and see where you show up on that search, just like Scott said. And again, don't just search something like Captain's Legacy, because hopefully you're number one on that search. Search something about accommodations in your area or something more generic that a traveler might search if they happen to be in the region. And that's a good way to test out where you're showing up and where you might need some improvement.
Yeah, and just a quick SEO lesson here, and I'm sure H&L would be more than happy to look at an SEO type of a specific SEO strategy webinar in the future. But when you're looking at keywords, don't go for if you're trying to target different keywords that you would be under, you're going to want to target around 6. I see all the time people trying to target like 20 keywords, and it just doesn't make sense. I mean, you would have to create all this content, all this blog content, and these types of things. And there's these free tools online that allows you to actually type in keywords and see how much traffic goes to those keywords. So you can type in, B&Bs in St. John's and see how much traffic is actually derived from that. And this is something you can do, or you can have a company do for you, and you pick the 6 best ones that doesn't have a ton of competition, especially if you're starting out. If you're starting out, pick 6 that doesn't have a ton of competition but still has a ton of searches and based on the geographic area and that type of thing, and then start creating content that uses those keywords. And the content, I mean blog articles, I mean Facebook posts, I mean Twitter tweets, all of these different types of things that are connected to you. And over time, it's going to take 3 months to activate, but over time, you're going to get these great organic results that you don't have to pay any money for, meaning you don't have to pay for ads or anything like of that sort, and you're going to be able to have this amazing funnel of new traffic that you've never had before that just find you because they're searching online. I think we got another question coming in from John here. Anyone else that do have any questions? I realize we got about 10 minutes or so here. If you have any other questions related, maybe it's not specific to Google, maybe it's specific to something else. Again, I work on the online marketing side every single day, so feel free to ask any questions that maybe are a little bit misaligned from Google, but happy to answer any of those. So John said Google Twilling Gate accommodations and our mobile site does not show up. Yeah, so that's more than
sorry,
likely.
I'm just going to interrupt for a second. Guys, I'm just hearing someone in the background speaking. I'm not sure if anybody realizes, but again, *6 will mute your phone line if you have something on the go in the background so that we can't hear you. Sorry, Scott, go ahead.
No problem. So John says Google's Twilling Gate accommodations and our mobile site does not show up. So that's probably, I'm not sure if you, from a search engine strategy perspective, not sure, again, a ton of the background information here, but this probably goes to the search engine optimization side and ensuring from a search engine strategy side. So this is probably less about the mobile website and more about the strategy itself. Just because you have a mobile website doesn't mean that you're going to get on that first page of Google. Now, you may have an unfair advantage for the next 6 months because while everybody else is catching up, you're going to get higher and higher just by default. But if you want to be the top in 2016, then you're going to want to start now on a search engine strategy to be able to get these different keywords that are the most important. So that relies a little bit on search engine strategy and search engine optimization, not just the mobile website. So it's not, just do the mobile website and you're going to be good. It's here, we definitely have to have a mobile website, not just for Google, but for user experiences. And you need to look at some search engine optimization or search engine strategy. Or if you don't want to spend your time on that, you can just buy traffic and, buy traffic off of Facebook, off of Google, off of these different types of mediums. And I guarantee you that's going to give you a return on your investment. Again, that's a conversation for a different day. But, yeah, it goes back to search engine strategy, John.
Does anybody else have any other questions while we still have Scott on the line?
I was just going to, if anybody does have any questions, certainly let me know. Where can we get search engine strategy info? Certainly I'm sure that the guys here will probably be able to kind of push you in the right direction. If you do want, I'm more than happy to spend 15 minutes just kind of giving you a little bit of extra information on this. Again, here's my link that you can just book me for a quick 15-minute call, a quick hit session. Again, not going to sell anything to you, completely unbiased. I just more than happy to help on that. So, search engine strategy, depending on your location, depending on, where you are. If it's a highly competitive, if you're in St. John's and you're in the hotel business, you know what? There's a lot of hotels in St. John's. It's probably going to take quite a bit to get to that #1 page. But, if you're in Twillingate, while there's still quite a few businesses out there, I would expect that you can get to that first page within 3 to 6 months without, having to invest in an entire college fund in order to be able to do that.
And also, John, and everybody else on the call, if you guys have questions like this, whether it be about technology or some other form of training or professional development, you guys all know Craig Foley on staff here. He's our manager of technology. He has a lot of expertise himself, as well as many of the other people on staff that you may get in touch with. So just giving us a call, and we can either help you out ourselves. Maybe there's a webinar that we'll be offering, or point you in the right direction of someone with the proper expertise. For example, another H&L member like Scott. So, just giving us a call at H&L about any of your questions, whether it be search engine optimization or social media, Twitter and Facebook tips, things like that, just give us a call at H&L at any time, and we can definitely point you in the right direction and either help you out ourselves or hook you up with someone who has all the right expertise for you.
Exactly. And I can't say, I'm sure everybody knows Craig, but I can't say enough good things about Craig. And again, keep in mind, when it comes to all this type of stuff, realize that you're not the expert, and you don't have to be the expert. A lot of this stuff, it's confusing. I've spent the last 14 years of my life on this stuff. You're experts in creating experiences and being able to run these amazing hospitality businesses, and you don't have to be the experts. I realize at some points you're going to feel overwhelmed. You're going to feel that, you don't understand how it works. There's all sorts of people, they're locally. Craig can connect you, as Melissa said. And, all this type of stuff, it doesn't have to be costly. It doesn't have to be a huge investment. But I guarantee you it will increase the amount of revenue for your business. It will create a higher return on investment. Just don't, although you're going to feel overwhelmed, it's not a dead end. And this stuff can really, truly work for you.
I think we might have another question coming in the chat. Or you can press #6 to unmute your phone line and quickly ask us a question like that. We still have a few more minutes left, so feel free. In the meantime,
Melissa, yeah, go ahead, sir.
No, I was just going to see if you'd be willing to. We're obviously going to follow up with some information with the participants afterwards. But if you'd be willing to provide your email address if anybody has a specific question for you after the fact.
Sure, totally. So if you do have any questions, I'm just going to put my personal email, so this is not going to go through my my virtual assistant or anything like that. So this is my direct email in which you can get me any questions, that type of thing. I also wanted to, I'm not sure, Melissa, is it okay? I'm doing a webinar tomorrow on email marketing. Completely free. It's 2:30 or it's 4 o'clock Newfoundland time. I'm not sure. Is it okay if I post a link to that if anybody wants to come to that? I just want to make sure before I do that. All right, perfect. So this here, quick a quick plug here. I just want to make sure I have the right email. Yeah, okay, perfect. So last year, in the last 12 months, we've been able to increase our email list from 2,600 people to 31,000 in 12 months. And I'm basically going to show tomorrow exactly, very much in the same format as this, how you can do that. And for you guys, I realize that email marketing is this huge beast that you can make so effective for yourself, especially since you have so many customers come through your door. And I know that, a lot of the time people get discouraged by it and these different types of things. So if you go there, certainly tomorrow it's 4 o'clock, 2:30 Eastern. I'm more than happy to kind of guide you through the email marketing side. Realize it's a little bit different than the Google side, but it's a part of online marketing that is so incredibly important. The return on investment, we've been able to generate $250,000 since January directly through our email marketing strategy. And I almost guarantee you that you're leaving money on the table and not kind of having an active strategy on that. So I posted the link in the chat. Feel free to sign up. Again, there's no sales pitch at the end of that whatsoever. Completely free information.
Well, if there are no other questions, I would definitely like to thank Scott for joining us today from Toronto and providing us with all of this great information. Like Scott said, it can definitely be overwhelming, but you don't have to be the expert in it. You just have to know where to turn to get help. So again, thank you, Scott, for joining us today and providing and just taking the time to answer everybody's questions. It's very much appreciated.